Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you're watching this transmission. 'Tis I, Mike Martins. Let's get down to some serious business, folks, and this is very serious. So, this is from the Foundation of Economic and Education, FEE. They've been around for a good while. They post some very, very interesting articles. Lots of it is predicting things, not post-dicting. And this is something that's there's another channel on YouTube called The Lost Canuck, and his name is Mario DeCetis. I've had him on the channel several times. We're good friends. We've met in person several times, and he's been talking about Social Security and pensions disappearing, with lots of inside movements of deflating interest rates, moving pension funds around, and investing pension funds in housing markets, and investing pension funds in something that shouldn't be invested in. And to help, well, what they want to do is the people on the back end want to grow that money, right, and potentially make something of it, right? But that's something I think they should stay away from, because one after another, it's always, especially the housing market, it's been nothing but a disaster. So Social Security Trust will be depleted by 2035. Trustees say, then what? Yeah, I was going to actually say that naturally, then what? And they said it here. 2035, we are in 2019, 15, 16, 17 years we're looking at. I hope I got that right. Under current law, after the OASI trust fund is fully depleted, Social Security will revert back to its original pay-as-you-go system. So the Social Security system, I think, was put in place after World War I or World War II. I'm not too sure of the history of it in the United States. So what it does is just basically collects your funds deducted from your labor, from your pay. You get a deduction every week or every month or bi-weekly, whenever you get paid. And that money basically goes towards when you can't work anymore. So they'll fund you to stay alive, like through your frail years, and God forbid you get hurt and you can't work anymore. You could probably bank a little bit earlier. You might have to wait till 65. I'm not too sure, depending on what country you're in. Oh, guys, sorry if my yawning is contagious. Beginning next year, a wave of red ink is set to strike Social Security, as the total amount of benefits paid out to the program's beneficiaries will begin to regularly exceed the amount of money that working Americans pay into. Now, here's the problem with this, okay? There's not enough people putting into the Social Security that's going out. There's enough people putting in, yes, the population's bigger, there's a big working class, and the problem is a lot of it is public sector work. So you have a lot of public sector that's government already. So they're paying their taxes, but it's really taking away from the big pie from the private sector that's actually supporting this infrastructure, right? The Social Security program costs, it will exceed its income by 2020 for the first time since 1982. 2 years later than that, officials projected last year, forcing the program to dip into nearly $3 trillion trust fund to cover benefits. That's gotta hurt. But by 2035, those reserves will be depleted and Social Security would no longer be able to pay its full scheduled benefits, according to the latest annual report by the Trustees of Social Security and Medicare released on Monday. So this was yesterday's article. The cost of both programs are projected to rise substantially. I don't know why. Substantially. I don't know why I can't read that. I don't know if it's because my first language is Portuguese and Spanish. I speak both. Substantially as a share of the economy over the next 16 years, as a wave of retiring baby boomer boasts the number of beneficiaries and lower birth rates over the past few decades weigh on employment growth and economic output. Here's what Social Security's trustees had to say about the program's ability to pay out benefits after its old age and survivors insurance, OASI, trust fund, which will be tapped to fund higher benefit payments to pensioners until it completely runs out of money in 2034. So I guess they're factoring in the other people that will be retiring this year, next year, the year after, the year after, the year after. So they're factoring those people. So let's say 100,000 people retire a year. Let's say there's more than that. There's a lot more than that. But let's say it's 100,000 people or 80,000 a year. So they're probably adding those people in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, so they're adding them on as they go, right? So if they forgot to add those people that are retiring as they go, then this is going to be a lot shorter than 2034. It's going to be the next 3 to 4 years. The OASI Trust Fund Reserve projected to become depleted by 2034, at which the OASI income will be sufficient to pay 77% of OASI, that's old age social insurance, I guess, scheduled benefits. Pay-as-you-go system. So the pay-as-you-go system, let's read what it says here, and I'll tell you what I think I knew it was back in, if I was paying attention in history class. Under current law, after the OASI trust fund is fully depleted, Social Security will revert back to its original pay-as-you-go system, where the total amount of benefits that are paid out cannot exceed the amount of money it takes in through Social Security payroll tax. That's all the U.S. government has ever promised to pay after the OASI trust fund has been drained, and in this latest forecast, every American who might begin collecting Social Security retirement benefits before the OASI trust fund runs out of money in 2034 can expect to have their monthly income check slashed by 23 points after it does. So they're not, I guess, completely. So if the trust fund runs out before, okay, I see what they're going to slash 23%. So there's a lot of people now that are retired in the United States living off Social Security that are between, do I buy my medication or do I pay my rent? There's a lot of this happening. It's been happening for years, right? But now we're starting to get data. Numbers are starting to trickle in. We're starting to get a little bit more of an understanding where things are headed. And people have been talking about this for years. Oh, you know, your pension, you're not going to have one when you retire. I'm a 41-year-old man. And hand to God, I hope I can live healthy. I hope God gives me 24 more years. You know, I'm hoping to live to 65 at least. So many people dropping dead everywhere. I'm not going to jinx myself, but I just want to see my kids grow up. I want to see them leave the nest. I started my life so late because of this housing crisis. I held back on settling down and stuff because of this whole housing crisis. Anyways, under the intermediate assumptions, the projected hypothetical combined OASI and DI trust fund assets reserves become depleted and unable to pay scheduled benefits in full and any timely basis by 2035. At the time of depletion, so yeah, okay, we got that already. They're just kind of re-paraphrasing what I just read. After stopping disability insurance payments to disable Americans, Social Security would be able to continue making full retire benefit payments to Americans for 1 year longer than if kept its disability insurance program intact before running out of money, after which monthly retirement benefits checks would be permanently cut by 20%. In response to these looming cuts, some politicians have recently proposed making Social Security's benefits more generous and making the relatively smaller population of working Americans and business pay much higher Social Security taxes, increasing the combined employee plus employer tax rate from 12.4% employee wages to 14.8% of their income. So here's the problem here when you do that. Okay, we're going to pay more in our Social Security, but then what happens when I get to 65 and then I don't get any of it now? So that's the problem, right? A more interesting alternative would be to create a special voluntary tax-free savings programs through Social Security that would make it possible for Americans who care most about about increasing their future. In Canada, we have RSP and RRSP, retirement savings plan. You could use it against capital gains. So if I'm getting capital gains, I could buy some retirement savings plans that I could cash at 65. So basically, it's a good way, in a way where it's a tax shelter. And when I had my business on the coast, I would max out my retirement savings plan, outside of my pension and all my stuff. I would actually max out every year, just so I'm not paying so much. So it's kind of a shelter. You guys can look it up. It's RSP, retirement savings, and then there's RRSP, and then there's RESP. Okay. Americans who care about increasing their future retirement benefit checks to automatically set aside and save the cash they could use to boost their benefits in future years in a separate accounts they own, which wouldn't require such a regressive tax hike. This is, very important. I talk about what's happening in Australia, right? I talk about what's happening in America, the UK, Canada. So now somebody watching this in the United States might say, "Why don't? Yeah, I just saw this video of this guy wearing this weird hat, and he was telling us that in Canada they do this. We never really looked into the Canadian tax law, but what if we gave people a tax shelter to offset their capital gains through a retirement savings plan? It's a win-win for, in a way, it looks good on paper. So I wanted to throw this out there for Americans watching, because especially lawmakers, because this might work. And I think that's a good way of people that are worried when they reach the frail years, right? And, the years of frailness. And a lot of aunts and uncles, my dad's sisters and brothers, are all at that level right now. And it's very tough, when you get to that age. And I have a lot of respect for people that paid their dues, and really lots of respect for people that really invested in the infrastructure to make what we have today possible. Anyways, guys, comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Look forward to reading your comments. And if you want to support this transmission, all you have to do is just share one of my videos. Thank you very much, guys.